Hello and what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel and you're watching Miguel EDC, the channel where we talk everything EDC gear here. Today we're going to be doing the review on this EDC knife right here from Kansept Knives, and of course we are talking about the Kansept Nesstreet. That is the model name. This one here is a karambit maker design. It is a Nesmuk blade shape folding knife, and it is mainly a blade shape that is used for outdoors. So this is going to be a very interesting review here. It's been definitely very interesting to EDC, very interesting to carry over the last well, week or so, maybe week and a few days or so. Karambit maker, the designer, I believe his name is Greg, and I'm not going to attempt to mention or pronounce his last name, but I'll put it in the description if you want to learn more. This is one of his many different designs here, and we're going to get more into it. I got a chance to unbox this knife here in the channel not that long ago, about a week or so, depending on how I've been editing different videos in the channel. It's likely that you've seen the unboxing on this knife by now. If you haven't already checked that out, this knife comes to me via the Lefty EDC knife pass around, and again, super grateful to Lefty for sending these over. There will be affiliate links for this knife and any other knife you see in this video down in the description below. So if you want to learn more about this knife or check out the specifics or price on any of these knives, you'll find those links down below. Those links of course help out the channel at no extra cost to you. But let's go ahead and without further ado jump right into the review. First things first, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this bad boy here, and this is quite a large knife, right? This is not a medium or small knife. We're definitely working with a large. This is exactly 8 inches long on the overall length right there. As far as the blade, we're working with approximately, well, let me make sure I can get a good read here, about 3.5 blade length, and cutting edge is also about 3.5. That's not bad. And the handle there is going to be 4.5 inches. Those are your overall measurements. What do we have going on as far as materials here? We have G10 going on this bad boy, okay, for the handle material. And then for the blade here, we have 154 CM, right? So it is a little bit of a premium steel there, a little bit higher tier than your D2 or 14C28N or Nitro V, just a tad bit higher tier, if anything, 154 CM. And yeah, this is a knife from Kansept Knife. As far as deployment options, we have two. We have the thumb deployment, which works really good on this knife. And then we have the thumb stud on the other side, which allows you to reverse flick. It's a little bit tricky to do it on the other side. I'm not sure if it was me, but I definitely spent some time with it. Did find it a little bit more challenging to do the reverse flick on this guy as compared to the thumb deployment. So I stuck with the thumb deployment for the most part, even though technically you could reverse flick. There we go. They say that Kansept knives take a little bit to break in. Maybe this one isn't broken in yet, perhaps. But yeah, mainly the thumb deployment feels really good and satisfying. Good detent right there. It has a good amount of pressure, right? So you can deploy. Very hard to fail the deployment on this guy. No flipper option. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. I mean, I don't see why, you know, we couldn't have had a flipper here for one more additional deployment option, but you know, we're going to get more into that a little bit later, right? So those are the materials and the action on this bad boy. It is a liner lock here, and check out the drop action on this knife, right? Very smooth drop action, right? Definitely on what is this? I want to say ball bearings. Are we on ball bearings? There we go. Yes, they are. We got ball bearings going on here. Very tiny. I could barely see them, but that explains why the action is so drop smooth like that. So you can see. And also, it sounds good. Some nice acoustics when you fire it. As far as blade, let me give it a wipe. That's one thing that you end up with is a lot of fingerprints here on the blade every time you deploy it. Thumb deployment. Kind of inevitable in a way, but we'd have a satin finish going on here, and this is a flat grind going up pretty high all the way to this line up here, and this is a Nesmuk blade shape in a way. Kind of looks a little harpoonish here, a a little bit drop point, okay? But yeah, Nesmuck is the actual blade shape, if I'm not mistaken. Mainly used for hunting purposes, right? It's gonna be a good slicer, also pretty good for piercing, for those draw cuts as well, right? A little bit of belly, but not a ton of belly, which is good. So still gives you a little bit of sheep's foot, modified sheep's foot sort of vibes to it. And that utility with the tip way down here below the pivot line as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and get some quick comparisons here next to a few other knives just to give you guys a ballpark here. We'll do the usuals. Here is the PM2 right there. All right, so it's actually going to be a tad bit shorter than the PM2. And cutting edge probably a little bit longer than the PM2 as a matter of fact. And definitely much larger than the Para 3. Okay, you guys take a look there for yourself. All right, what about the Demko brothers? Here is the Shark's Foot Demko AD 20.5. Here's the new slicer, Shark Cub, a little bit smaller here. So the Nesstreet is actually going to be a little bit larger than both of those, as a matter of fact. All right, what about the Rat Model 1 here? Ontario Rat Model 1 is going to be a larger knife and probably a little bit larger. Let me see. Cutting edge, I mean, debatable, but probably a little bit longer cutting edge if you don't count the belly there. But yeah, a little bit shorter on overall length compared to the Rat 1, and also a little bit bigger, yeah, quite a bit bigger than the Rat Model 2. All right, and last but not least, let's do one more here. Let's do the bigger sibling here from the company, right, from Kansept. We have this one is the Colibri Tech, and this one is another Kansept knife that I'm EDCing right now. And this one's a behemoth because of how long it is. 9¼ inches right here, almost 10 inches overall length. And then to contrast that, here's the Divo Knives NIP, a small but mighty knife as well. And as you can see, the Nesstreet right there is somewhere in between those two, right? Quick carry profile here, thickness against the PM2. And I feel like it's a little bit easier to do it this way. Here is the Colibri Tech, and here's that Divo Knives NIP. So definitely gonna take a little bit more there on the overall, right, how tall it is. The Rat Model 1 and 2. All right, check out the Rat Model 1, still a little bit slimmer than the Nesstreet. Obviously the Rat 2, a lot slimmer. All right, Shark Cub right there, and the Shark Foot Blade 80/20.5, and probably a little bit more comparable to that, you know, 80/20.5, because they both have a substantial amount of blade sticking out. And last but not least, the kings of how tall a side profile can be, and those are the Spyderco knives with the Spidey hole, of course. Actually still are pretty comparable, right? Like even this portion here, still a little bit taller on the Nesstreet. So overall, let's talk a little bit about the carry experience so far with this knife. So again, it's been pretty good at the EDC over the last couple of days, week or so. Ergonomics on this knife are pretty good. Anytime you see a knife with a curve down like this, it's going to be a very good ergonomic knife. I'll give you an example. Here's the MSI, right, with the handle, and you see how it drops down like that. Makes it very nice and ergonomically friendly. Okay, same deal going on here with the Nesstreet. You got this curve going on there, which is very good for ergonomic purposes, and it makes it really good. When you're bearing down on it, getting a good grip on the knife. You have this cutout here for the index finger, which is good, and then all other fingers also get a good portion of the handle as well, and you still have a good substantial amount of handle still left to go, so that's not bad at all. No jimping going on here at the top. Would have, me personally, preferred a little bit of jimping going on there, but perhaps that was done intentionally, I'm not sure. But I can see where the thumb really rests really good here on the spine of the blade. That makes that really good action as far as ergonomics goes. Very comfortable knife, and this thing slices and cuts like crazy, as you'll see a little bit later in the video. We'll do a little bit of a cutting test, if you will. Something that I really liked about this knife, and keep in mind this knife has gotten quite a lot of views already from other reviewers, so I'm certainly not the first one to check it out, and this is certainly not sharp out of the box, but it has certainly retained a really sharp edge. Even to the EDC use that I gave it, right, the last couple of days, it's performed very well. And over the last week or so, it's actually been a very solid EDC. Good access to the liner lock or liner bar right here. The luck bar, boom, right there. Good access to the liner. Good access to the liner right there. Check that out. Okay, it's actually not uncomfortable in any way. It's not jimp, and it doesn't need to be jimped, in all honesty, because I'm able to very gently push it over, and it allows me to close the blade very well. Again, that drop shot action is really, really good on this knife. The liners here are nice and you know, black washed, if you will, right? So check that out. Kind of blends itself with the G10, black G10 handles. Also, you have some hourglass standoffs going on here in the back. I got a stub pin right there for the blade, holding it when closed and also when open all the way. And these are exposed liners here, right? So they're not hidden or anything. They're proud and exposed. And it makes it very easy to clean, right? This is a very open design, sandwich design style knife. Makes it very easy to clean. Any debris or pocket lint that might get in there will be pretty easy to take care of. So there is quite a little bit of milling going on here, as you can see, right? A little bit of milling going on this end, quite a lot of milling going on that side also. I'll give you guys a good view. So honestly, with G10 and everything, it doesn't feel like a super heavy knife, but it also doesn't feel like a ultra light knife either, right? So somewhere at a good medium, maybe like a 3.5 to 4 ounces. All right, check that out. A little bit more than that. 4.5 ounces right there on the total weight. One last time for a fair measure. There you go. That should give you an idea. Something like the Colibri Tech. It's a little bit more because it's a longer knife, but that one's also on titanium. That's 4.8 ounces, right? And then let's say, and obviously something tiny like the Divo NIP is gonna be 2.8 ounces. So yeah, good weight for me. It's not the lightest knife out there, also not the heaviest knife. It's a great EDC weight, in my opinion, for an overall 8 inches total length knife. Fits very well in the hand. Again, I have medium hands, not the largest, not the smallest. Let's get a quick read here on the blade stock thickness. It is actually about 0.14 inches on the blade stock there. And then as far as the handle goes, it's going to be just shy of a half an inch, right? 0.49 inches. So just about half of an inch right there on the handle, which is not bad at all. Okay, check out the G10 scales here are nice and contour all around, which makes it very nice and comfortable here. Even the cutout here for the thumb deployment is nice and chamfered as well. Right, makes that very nice and easy to access the thumb stud. I really wish they had done the same thing on the other side. That would have helped a bit, right? Doing this same thing on the other side would have been something very good to do, and it would have allowed probably that reverse flick to happen a little bit better. You do have to be very precise on when you do the push with your middle finger there to get that reverse flick to happen. Yeah, otherwise you end up beating up your middle finger there and struggling a bit. But yeah, thumb deployment is definitely money. The pocket clip, check this out, right? Got a nice and very comfortable pocket clip here, right? Very deep carry. I don't want to say, or maybe I want to say it's yeah, it's you know, a little bit on the very comfortable side, maybe like hand melting. You know, I don't really feel it when I'm bearing down on it. It has a nice drop here, so straight there, a quick drop and just a quick raise, and that's about it. So it's not bad. Very, very comfortable in the hand. It is deep carry, right? Pretty deep carry there for the most part, as you can see. My only sunk with the pocket clip is two things. So the screws could have been inset a little bit more, right? That allows for a little bit ease of access with jeans and stuff like that. Thicker pocket materials, right? So some inset screws would have really helped. The other thing is you have thumb deployment, which means you can, you know, operate this knife with your left hand if you're a lefty, and I actually practice that quite a bit. Okay, and that's why that cutout, right, that chamfering would have really worked on this other side also. But the only other thing here is the pocket clip is not reversible for whatever reason. I'm not sure if they make a lefty version of this knife or not, but maybe a reversible pocket clip would have been clutch right here for my lefties out there. As far as the blade alignment, that thing is right on the money. All right, check that out. It is spot on, right on the money. And again, this has been seen quite a bit of use. It's not brand new out of the box or anything. and still right it's smack in the middle right there. Let's do a quick hardware check on this bad boy. To see how we're doing here on the hardware department. My tools, of course, as always, are highly recommendable, and they're linked down below. If you want to learn more, those affiliate links do help out the channel at no extra cost to you. All right, we're gonna start with the good news, right? The good news is that the pivot is a T10, right? We got T10 going on for the pivot. That's nice, right? So not T8, but T10. Now the body screws, unfortunately, seem to be T6. Yeah, it is T6. Whoops, got butterfingers today, guys. Got T6 going on there on the body screws, which honestly, you know, it's a little bit of a gripe. You know, it's more of a preference type of thing. Same deal going on the pocket clip screws and everything. So everything pretty much is T6 except the pivot, which is T10. So would have been nice to have everything T8 if you ask me. I would have probably traded that T10 for T8 everywhere or something like that, or maybe keep the T10 hardware on the pivot and make everything else T8. That would have been ideal, right, in my opinion. But yes, quick hardware there, hardware check to give you an idea what sort of hardware you're dealing with. I don't really envision this knife being a liner lock and all to be all that difficult, you know, with the standoffs in the back being all that difficult to take apart. Basically the pivot, 2 body screws, 2 screws for the pocket clip, which is only on one side. So it's really not bad at all as far as, you know, assembly and disassembly goes on this bad boy. Right, so the D10 again is pretty good, right? It's a little bit on the stiff side, maybe a hair too stiff. That's why it makes maybe the reverse flick a little bit more challenging. You really have to be at the right place with the right pressure from the right angle to get that reverse flick to work. Otherwise you could fail it. And again, that D10 is maybe a little bit on the aggressive side. That could be why it takes quite a bit of force to break away. If that's something that you like, then that's not going to be an issue for you. So the blade is satin finish. One thing that you're going to deal with are all those fingerprints that are going to be on the blade regardless, because you don't have a flipper deployment, you have a thumb deployment only. So this is what I mean by a flipper would have been nice. If you don't really want to get your fingerprints on the blade for whatever reason, you want to keep it nice and clean, you could use the flipper deployment if it were here, and boom, that would have certainly helped a bit. And it wouldn't have been all that difficult to put a flipper here. I know that because you have the stub pin here, it's a whole different mechanism with a stub pin. You can really have, I guess you have to make the flipper work, extending the blade a little bit, you know, a little the geometry, have a little portion that sticks out a bit, so you could, you know, flipper deploy it. How about that? I'm sounding like I'm a knife designer now. So enough of that. Just some quick, you know, would have been nice to have if anything. So just nitpicking a little bit, but honestly, overall, this has been a very good knife. Again, some very small items, if anything, that I would have liked to see a little bit better. Jimping here would have been nice. Would have added a little bit of, you know, a little bit more grip to the thumb rest right there. When you really push down on it, your thumb can sort of slide a little bit if you wanted to. So you really have to kind of make sure it's nice and aligned right in the middle. Yeah, but other than that, reversible pocket clip would have been nice. Those are just some small things. Last but not least, the sharpening. Okay, let's see. The plunge grind is way over here where you see my nail hits. So you really have only a tad bit of actual material here that you can sharpen about maybe 3-4 times, and you're going to start seeing a smile here right away or very soon with this knife. So that's something to consider there. You know, you could probably, you know, make your own plunge grind or make your own sharpening choil if you wanted to there. But other than that, you know, everything else about the knife is really good, right? It's super sharp. The tip there is very functional, so it still works very similar to like a sheep's foot or Warncliffe, even it being a Nesmuck blade geometry. Got the satin going on, 154 cm, which again, steel-wise, is, in my opinion, or based on what, not my opinion, based on what I know, and I'm not a steel guru or anything like that, it's just a tad bit better than D2. It's a level above Nitro V and 14C28N. So definitely a good steel to have. Let's do a quick paper cutting test. Of course, we know this knife is going to cut, but just to show you guys that it has retained quite a bitey edge here. Right, so you see some swirls going on there. All right, let's get some full slices. Boom. Yeah, you have a really good working edge here. It's going to slice all the way through. It's going to actually be pretty difficult for it to come off of the slice right there, right? So it's going to slice all the way through, which is nice, very good and functional, like a sheep's foot or Warncliffe. Boom, bam. So yeah, that is one thing this knife has going for it. It definitely comes very sharp out of the box, and I'm not saying that from my own experience. I say that because I looked at a couple other reviews, and everyone that actually got a brand new one of these actually raved about how sharp it comes out of the box. Now also I can tell you though from personal experience that it has definitely retained a good edge. So let's do some cardboard. Remember, when cutting cardboard, don't cut at a perpendicular angle, but rather at an angle like this. There we go. And it should look something like this. Boom. Alright, did I mention this thing was a slicer? Because it certainly is a slicer. Yeah, that flat grind with that Nesmuck blade geometry certainly puts in work. And man, this thing is crazy sharp, and it definitely destroyed that paper and definitely destroyed that cardboard. All right, so let's talk price on this bad boy really quick. So typically it seems like it retails for about $109, and it kind of makes sense because of the 154 CM steel, right, being a little bit a higher tier than your D2 Nitro V and 14C 28N. But from what I see here on Blade HQ, it's actually on sale right now for about 72 to 76-ish dollars. There's a version there for about $55. And so yeah, definitely check it out. There's even a premium version because of a better steel with S35VN. That's already definitely an upgrade over 154 CM. So S35VN being a better steel, those come in about $102, starting at $102 with G10, orange G10, green G10, micarta, brown micarta. Some options have satin finish, some have a blacked out blade as well. So yeah, very interesting offerings to say the least. And you know, here's what I will say about the price. So the price is not bad for the blade steel, right? I'm seeing some other offerings around the same ballpark for 154 CM. The blade is very functional. The geometry is very functional. Ergonomically, it's a really good knife. And honestly, for being my very first Kansept knife, and also being my very first karambit maker design, I am definitely really impressed with it. It performed very well, and it's actually very easy to use, very easy to deploy, very easy to disengage that liner lock. That blade drops very quickly, so you better make sure your fingers are nice and out of the way before it comes down. And as you saw, right, it definitely cuts really well, and it does a lot of damage. Yeah, very small nitpicks here and there, but overall it is a pretty good solid knife. That G10 is nice, not the ultra grippy G10 from, like, let's say Spyderco or what have you, but more of a similar feel to, you know, even though it's FRN on the Ontario Rat 1, but you know, sort of, you know, a happy medium in between a very grippy G10 on the Spydercos and something a little bit more smooth yet functional like on the Ontario there. That's what you have going on this G10 here on the Nesstreet. So yeah, very interesting. I'm glad that I got a chance to check this one out. Again, shout out to Lefty EDC for the opportunity, for letting me check this one out as part of the Lefty EDC knife pass around. And yeah, shout out to Kansept because, man, they got an interesting, good knife going on here. And it certainly is a solid performer. All right, definitely going to be able to get your tip utility cuts right there with this one, as you're used to with any Warncliffe or sheep's foot. Very piercing, pokey tip going on there, right, like Nick Chavas will say. And you can do draw cuts all day, every day. You also still have a little bit of belly, so you can do some slicing of whatever material, right? Again, this is for typically an outdoor sort of blade shape or what have you. So it could be used for all kinds of camping, survival, maybe a little bit of hunting. I'm not exactly 100% sure because I'm not an expert on outdoors, but I will will tell you for EDC purposes, it definitely gets the job done. So seeing something like this, perhaps in a more premium materials, would perhaps make a nice, you know, EDC knife. And even at this budget version with G10 and 154 cm, makes it a really good solid contender for a good EDC knife without a doubt. So perhaps having a flipper would have been a preferable thing on my end, but other than that, it performs, it gets the work done. It is reliable, it is sharp, ultra sharp out of the box, right? Great ergos, great handle design with this drop back right here on the handle. That's really good. The D10, again, is a little bit on the stiffer side, but you know, if you're into that, then that's not gonna be an issue for you. It is milled, it's not the heaviest, not the lightest, but you know, definitely good EDC weight to it. Pocket clip is deep carry, but not reversible, so that's something to keep in mind. Definitely favors righties, if anything. And honestly, that's about it. It looks nice, it carries well. Do I recommend it? Yes. My experience with the knife was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, right? As a tool, cutting tool, it gets the work done, it performs, it delivers. Just as expected, that flat grind makes it a super slicey EDC knife without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm excited for checking out more Kansept knives here on the channel. As mentioned, I am currently EDCing the Colibri Tech right here. That's another Kansept knife that I'm currently checking out now, which is pretty interesting with the mill titanium going on. This one is another sweet treat, but on a different ballpark, because look at the blade shape on this thing. So the review video for this one should be posted as well. I'll be putting a card here towards the end of the video for you to check this one out next. Guys, let me know if I missed anything on this video. Let's hang out in the comments, right? Any questions you may have, any suggestions, anything you want to know about this knife, anything that I left out on the table, let me know. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those for you. Remember, there are affiliate links for this knife and every other knife in the video, so if you want to learn more, those links will be in the description. Those do help out the channel at no extra cost to you. If you haven't yet liked the video, guys, go ahead and smash that like button. It is free and it helps the channel grow and reach a larger audience so more people can enjoy this awesome daily knife content coming your way. Also subscribe, right, so you can stay up to date with everything, all the new knives, all the new gear dropping here in the channel. If you want to take your support a step further, guys, there will be a link for Patreon down below. You can support the channel for as little as $1 a month. If you made it to the very end, you guys are the real MVPs. I love you all. Take good care of yourself. Thank you guys for all your love and support, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.